Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about how to use Iguana to connect with SFTP. Before we start, I just want to quickly talk about the definitions of FTP, FTPS, and SFTP. Basically, if you just want to do a standard non-secure file remote connections communications, then you use FTP. Typically, this is for local access or internal network. When you want to add it more secure, then you have two options. Either you're using the SSL to design for the secure network communications over the internet, which we call the FTPS, or you're using SSH, which is a secure remote access for server and computer, in this case, SFTP. So in our case, we are talking about how to use Iguana to connect it with SFTP. So you need to figure out how to use your current operation system, such as in Windows. Then you can use the SSH keygen created by Microsoft to generate your private key and public key. Or if you on the Mac or Linux system, you will need to use OpenSSH to generate your public and private key. In addition to that, you need to know that Iguana is very specific on the key format for both public key and private key. In this case, Iguana only accepts the PIN format of the private key and the public key. So this is an additional requirement for you to do so. So in my example, I had to follow the Windows SSH keygen. Fortunately, this is using the the PIN format that Iguana can accept. I just using the SSH keygen command to generate my private key, which is ID RSA, and my public key called ID RSA pub. And based on your requirements, you may have to generate the key properly in order for Iguana to accept. And if you don't generate properly, don't worry. There's a warning or error message that Iguana can give you more hint on what you need to do next. Okay, without further ado, let's start. So I'm just using a sample, SFTP server. In this case, I use Rebex. I have my SFTP server set up. I have a user called admin. Once you access here, you need to make sure the password authentication is not required, is enabled. That way, you don't force the Iguana to always use a username password approach. In this case, you want to use a key authentication base. So you enable that, and you needed to add in the public key files, which is the RSA pub to add into here. Make sure you save. After that, you can, before you use Iguana, you can also use other client just to make sure it is working. There's no problem for networking. There's no problem for certificates. I using the FileZilla client. All I had to do is under the new site, I choose the host, which is in the case localhost. I have to put the username as a part of a requirement, and the key file in this case is a private key. So in this case, you have always remember for SFTP on the server side, you need to provide the public key. On the client side, in this case is Iguana side, you need to provide the private key and in PIN format. Okay, so this is what all you need to do. Once you test it out, you see it's all working. I can even have a text file, hello there, 1, 2, 3, and click on save. And I can drop this to the file here as no problem. So my client is working at the moment, okay? So for Iguana, you have two ways to do it. One is using the from file or two files can set up, I will review later, and then you can use the translator way. Our preference is translator way because that gives you more debug information. So using translator way, as you can see, the first line here is the using the net.ftp initial. You need to put the server ID, you need to put the password on it, put the username on it. You don't need to have a password because this time we use a private key file as authentications. Keep it go live. It will return you the live object. Once you have that, you just call whatever FTP fetch you put. In this case, I'm getting the list of the files from the past. I set up a debug to true. And the result of it, I'm able to get my test1 text file names back, as well as getting the debug log to saying authentication success and connect it to this host. Okay, so this is one of the translator way to do it. Now, if you want to use a from file to file to do it, there's a little bit complication and some unnecessary steps, which I think. In this case, what you need to do is you need to put SFTP here. Make sure you check the box of FTP and choose authentication private and public. Choose the server and port, username. Again, there's no password in this case, and the file path. If the FTP have a sub file path you want to access, this is a place that you need to put. You need to put both private and public key at the same time. Where if you're in the translator, you just need to put the private keys. Okay, and there's additional information that you can use is, once this file has been read, you want to delete the file here. So give you additional, configuration you can use. Unfortunately, you would have to put, I would say like a fake source directories by default. And depend the file type, this is the rest will be the same. Okay, so without further ado, we can start this channel. And you can see the process has been processed. If you check the logs in here, and we can see hello 123 has been read and pushed into the to translator. And if we have to go to the FileZilla and then connecting to the new site, and you can see the file is empty. The file has been read. Okay, so that is all you need to know about how Iguana connecting with SFTP.